the Canadian government keeping nature illegal. What's next? The Canadian Maple Leaf? Is that going to be sold out to corporate interests? Like, really? I'm Karen Colville, and I'm reading to you my letter of appeal to the Canadian government and Revenue Canada. This is to C. Pauline of the Revenue Canada Tax Agency. I'm writing with appeal to the recent decision to deny the disability tax credit and program reform to myself and also for others on a retroactive basis, and with a disability tax certificate to access with inclusion to the RDSP, with planning for long-term financial security, to increase the quality of life, a basic decent standard of living for healthy security, natural food and diet security, financial stability, housing security, and access to natural medicine, to legal representation. The Canadian government has violated my rights under the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, is an act of discrimination with violation and abuse to economically disadvantaged and low-income Canadians by the Canadian federal and provincial governments, with social programs of social assistance and CPP disability plan rates, keeping up with the standards. Disabled Canadians are marginalized and regulated and are subject to abuse by the Canadian government, including Aboriginal people and Canadian persons or residents living below the poverty line. The program itself is flawed and must be revised or restructured. Law reform Canadian government is causing further financial hardship by inflating and increasing prices on every aspect of living, including access for basic necessities of life. As natural medicine, natural nutrition is not genetically modified, including education. 2 days after I had published this report in a public place, the Harper government had offered a contract for 30,000 disabled Canadians to be able to access medical marijuana, but however is contracted with Prairie Naturals and is also guarded by the RCMP. That's just as saying as they're going to spend Canadian taxpayer dollars to go and guard pipelines in other countries with Canadian interests. So, the disability tax credit is designed to benefit a person or family member caregiver of the disabled individual whom is paying the Canadian government in taxes as a tax shelter and is exploiting the disabled whom have not barely an income, depending on what levels they contributed to the system before they were disabled or whether they were born disabled, is exploiting the disabled not to have an income and subjecting more abuse of power and control allocated to the family members. This program was set up by government to appear and promote income security with the government matching funds for the disabled, but it actually brings harm and leaves disabled people, disabled Canadians, are also their health and their quality of life. I can only walk so far, and I'm walking. The tax certificate of what is required. The regulations to promote income security and the government of matching funds. The tax certificate is what is required to open an RDSP and any Canadian financial institution without penalty to existing programs of living allowances as the CPP disability payments and provincial payments, as not to have a reduction in benefits. But the program benefits the high-level taxpayer relatives, and the funds can be opened for misuse and abuse and not to go to benefit the disabled person. Exploitation of disabled Canadians. The rising cost of living, rents, mortgages, interest by banks and credit unions, and the basic necessities of life, clean water, nutritious food, adequate shelter, education, transportation is not in the levels of income in the program set and regulated by the Canadian government or provincial government. The Charter challenge on the right to housing, to own your own house, even if it's a small house under the current market value, is still something for a lot of disabled Canadians. So under the Section 7 and 15 of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, that argues that Canadians' failure to respond to the violation of the federal government's domestic and international rights, obligations. The Canadian Harper government, John Baird, who set this program up over the years, is actually abusing low-level and the most vulnerable of society, and their alleged programs of the tax credit for the disabled and its regulations is a corrupt system that serves the United Nations instead of the Canadian people, no matter what level of income they're at. The provincial government receives so much funding from the federal government where wait times for health care treatment are long to the point of causing death. You imagine if you have a loved one waiting for heart surgery and they've made them wait like up to 8 months and then they die? I have been subject to government abuse ever since my health problems had started under the government auspices funded programs that appear to support. In recent times, I have been targeted by governance. The Harper Cabinet has a history of abusing disabled and their rights as Nortel employees. S-216, knowing that disabled are unable to afford court costs as litigation to the Supreme Court of Canada. The abuse will end, and when will the government actually have interests of their constituents, not paying lip service or stalling tactics to avoid paying the people whom they have wronged and represent? To use funds to finance foreign offshore corporate deals is beyond description and repulsive and disgusting. My health condition over the past 10 years, severe and prolonged elimination challenges, bladder and kidney problems. I have frequent visits to the bathroom, neuropathic pain, anxiety from stress, and to survive in a badly designed to benefit the middle to high income elite and broken system. This is going on worldwide. You can see where this is leading to. I have an existing head injury, a spinal injury, and I'm unable to lift my arm higher than this, to walk more than 50 feet, and in severe constant pain. And I've been denied the disability tax credit to get an RDSP so I can put any future savings, investments, or gifts from other people into it so I can have a decent standard of living. So they want to keep me this way, harmed, and not being able to say anything. The extended waiting periods and access to natural health care. These are out-of-pocket expenses, and the risk to the doctor's licenses under the Royal College of Physicians and Surgeons, increase in costs of insurance. This is a flawed and broken system. Health Canada medical marijuana program. So the Conservative government has come back within the past couple days. Sure. And they have made an offer to Prairie Naturals as a contract with the RCMP approving this. Well, really, they're just doing the same thing as they've appointed our Canadian military to protect the interests of the pipeline. So if this isn't going towards global fascism, I don't know what is. So basically, I'm just pointing out to the Canadian government how I have been wronged by their decision They need to reconsider their decision and or come up with another program that I can rebuild my life with. And I think it's owed to all Canadians, because all of our families, even beforehand, they have contributed to the system, and even generations of that. Everyone contributes in their own way. I have also volunteered in activism. I cannot help but be forced, especially when I'm almost put to death, to be in opposition of Stephen Harper and Baird. I have other things that I will read later, but this is getting too hard on me physically, so I will come back to this, that this may be of interest to you. Have a good day, and let's keep Canadians in Canada, in our own country. Peace.